We are programmed to believe that desiring overflow is bad, that we're greedy, that we should be ashamed of desiring overflow. So the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about, which this is probably the biggest place where we shoot ourselves in the foot, right? We start to become abundant, we start to recognize that we have abundance, and then we stop abundance before it becomes overflow, right? So the state of overflow is the state that I'm always trying to reach. Like, I love being in a state of overflow. And what that means for me is like, yes, I'm abundant. Yes, I'm living this, lifestyle. And for me, and I think I've said this before, I don't know if I said it in this group or not, I'm actually not financially driven. I'm lifestyle and experience driven. So I live a certain lifestyle and I like to have certain experiences in my life. And so that I'm driven by those two things. Now, they require a certain amount of money to make them happen, but I'm not driven by the actual dollars. I'm driven by the experience and the lifestyle. For me, overflow is important because I want to be able to enjoy all the things that I love enjoying. I'm traveling with my family, staying in 5-star accommodation, traveling business class. Like, there are things that are non-negotiables in my life, but they require overflow. It's not simply abundance. It's not simply being abundant in an area. It requires overflow. I exist and live in a state where I want there to always be way more than enough for all of the things that I desire to do. And so it's, I think of it like, they have this, I don't know if you guys have seen these, but there's a water park here in Bali, and they have like, on the kids' playground, they have one of those huge buckets, like huge buckets. And then the water pours into it and it like sits there and goes like this, and it fills all the way up, and then it gets to the top, and then it's like, exactly, Alexis, like a teeter-totter. It's like going back and forth, and then it just gets to like the point where the water just starts spilling over. And I'm like, that's the state that I always desire to be in, overflow, where it's like, it's already full, and then we're just hitting it with just enough that like it's tipping over, but then the flow just continues because the water's still coming into the bucket, right? Those ones tip all the way over. But for me, it's like, my visualization is the bucket just tips this much, and there's just the constant state of overflow coming out. And so what that means is like, I can never spend more money than I make. There's always more than enough. Everything's always handled in perfect timing, right? But this took a lot of work on my part, a lot of deconstruction of programming to allow myself to be in a state of overflow, because we are programmed to believe that desiring overflow is bad, that we're greedy, that we should be ashamed of desiring overflow, right? Why isn't comfortable? Like, so this was the thing when I was growing up. It's like, our parents they wanted a comfortable life, right? They wanted to be comfortable, meaning they wanted to not be stressed. They weren't looking for abundance. They wanted comfort, right? They wanted non-stress. They wanted to be able to afford their mortgage, be a good programmed being, pay off their student loans if they had them, afford their mortgage, pay for food, have their 2.5 kids in, good public schools, and being able to do their extracurricular activities. And for me, that was never enough. I wanted abundance. I always wanted abundance. I always wanted more than enough. I always wanted, I had a few friends when I was growing up whose families were what I would consider rich. And I was like, oh, I want that life. I want that life where there's never stress about money, where there's never worry about money. Because let's be honest, that comfortable life that the majority of our middle class parents lived, it wasn't ever really comfortable. There was always worry about money. There was always stress. There's always money shit, right? So I always wanted abundance. And then I realized when I got to the point of living in abundance, that comes with its whole own set of money shit and money programming, right? Starting with, is it okay to want more than just a comfortable life? Is it okay to want more? Wanting is considered bad. Desiring is considered negative. If you want and you desire too much, you're greedy, which makes you a bad person. And, then we can go into the whole money is the root of all evil thing from the Bible. I mean, there's so much programming and so much conditioning that happens to us when we take our first breath on this planet around money, wealth, and abundance. But this is the thing that holds people back the most, because we get a little bit of success and we get a little bit of abundance, and then the programming kicks in hardcore. It's like, okay, now you're abundant. Now you're more than comfortable. Now you've stretched beyond, and in many cases, you've stretched beyond where the program wanted you to stretch, right? You've gotten just a little bit further than the program actually really wanted you to, because now you're abundant. And it's nearly impossible to move into overflow without doing serious work on deconstructing that programming.